Are you losing your mind yet? Come on, who is saying to yourself, I can't take this anymore? Who's saying, I can't take this? I don't know if I'm going to be okay during this whole thing. I can't. These people are driving me crazy. Because every day I wake up, I think to myself, I can't even imagine her winning. I can't imagine it. How many right now? Answer me at this question. How many right now say to yourself, I cannot believe a world where it is theoretically even possible that Kamala Harris could win? How many of you fine people are saying, I can't even get my head around the idea of her winning. Dr. Dreamkiller says, where are you, Lionel? We anxiously await this discourse, this disquisition, this Jeremiah. Well, I guess I would be right here. And I thank you for that. I think that would be right here. You can't see me, correct? Doctor, can you see me? Just curious, my friend. You're okay, aren't you? You might not be okay if you don't see me. I hope you see me. I'm going to wave to you, Dr. Klana Steve. Steve Dreamkiller, everybody. Do you ever think to yourself, I can't believe this? Let me say something to you, and I don't think you really understand this. Kamala Harris is an idiot. Dangerous. She is worse than Joe Biden. Joe Biden was merely out of it because of his age. But Joe Biden has memories. Joe Biden did things. Joe Biden actually was not as demented, or is not, rather, I should say. I don't even know where he is. Maybe we can have a welfare check. Maybe the cops can go by Rehoboth Beach and see if he's okay. But I want you to understand something. Joe Biden did not have necessarily dementia. Joe Biden did not have a hard time remembering current things. He had no short-term memory. That's the issue. That's the problem. That's the big problem. When he can't remember, when you say something to him and he forgets what you've said, that's a problem. That's a big problem. But that's not what happened. Joe Biden remembers things. Joe Biden never signed on to any of this stuff. Joe Biden, towards the end, they compromised it because of his son and because of his own family, because of a lot of other things. But Joe Biden never did. But Kamala Harris is stupid. She doesn't understand. You watch things now and you're thinking, dear God. And what we're talking about is something I will never know. Let me give you a couple of things. I want to jump into this. Unfortunately, I know you don't want to hear specifics, but I had all of my little actualities ready to go, but I had to stop and do them again for reasons that I'm not going to explain. But let me go back and explain a couple of things to you. Let's see what we can, shall we? Let's see right off the bat this one, shall we? Let's start off with this and hope it's not something that's stupid.
Your own supporters, including...
Okay, great one. I love this story. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because it deals with race. We love race stories. Oh my God. America loves race. Years ago, there was a friend of mine who was doing a talk radio for the first time. Terrestrial talk radio, the old-fashioned kind, not the stuff that you do. And they said, what are the two topics? Well, first of all, if you could, absolutely. If you could do a couple of things, they're always talking about race and specifically double standards. Trust me, they love that. Whenever you can do, because there are people who live, breathe, everything they have is race. Have you ever met people? I'm sorry. I don't mean to in any way, demean people who are in what you call recovery. But have you ever met somebody who everything they do is I'm in recovery? Well, I'm in recovery. Well, I'm 3 years sober. Well, that's great. I'm in recovery. Well, as an addict. And you're saying, okay. Can you tell me what's the best way to get to JFK from the West Side? As an addict, I realize that you have to assess. Excuse me. Yes, I'm not talking about you being an addict. Have you ever met people like that? I'm sorry. They annoy me and bore me. It's like, okay, you're an addict. Okay, already. Enough. Fine. Congratulations. Shut up. Is everything you did addict, addiction, drugs, alcohol, the program, everything? And I had one the other day, and I finally said, I can't deal with this. It's not that there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like everything in this person's frame of reference. Well, some people are addicted to race. Everything they race. The black woman's journalism, the Association of Black Accountants, Black Lawyers Association. Eric Adams used to be the president. He's a mayor of New York, of an organization called 100 Black Men in Law Enforcement. Black. Everything you got, they're addicted to it. You got the addict? Well, as an addict, as a black man, that's it. And many times it's not because of the people who are doing this, people in the media. And the people in the media, and they want to talk about it, but they don't want to talk about it. And they want to talk about it, but they're saying, no, I'll talk about what's black and what's black, not you. Are you a white person? Yes. You have no rights. You have no identity whatsoever. None. We determine this. You, no. You just shut up. You just shut your mouth and you leave us alone. We determine this. We determine the subject matter, not you. You understand what we're saying? We don't care about this. So listen to this story. This is the let me see. Trump was at the, what is it called? The National Association of Black Journalists. Okay. Are black journalists different than white journalists? Or Asian journalists? Is there a different kind of truth? I don't understand this. By the way, Trump shows up. Kamala Harris didn't show up. So let's just have enough. This is just great because this drives people crazy. It drives people crazy because of the fact that it's just nutty. Raul Rodriguez says, how damaging will Operation FU Berry be to Shamala? We'll see. We'll see, my friend. But let's go, shall we? Let's listen to our good friend, the inimitable, the ineffable, the ineluctable Mr. President Donald J. Trump. Listen to this beaut.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala.
Now, first of all, is this person just annoying? Annoying. Not because she's a black woman, not because she's a woman, not because she's black, because she's annoying. Kristen, whatever, on CNN with the eyebrows. Annoying. Laura Ingraham, annoying. A lot of other people do. Jake Tapper, annoying. But this is always good. Okay, fine. And her whole thing is black. So you better answer the question. I get to bring up race, not you. I determine the parameters of race, not you. It's our thing, not you. So I'm going to ask you a question, but you better give us back the answer we want, or else we're going to blame and label you as a racist.
Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on.
That's true.
On a major party ticket as a DEI hire.
Now let me stop right there, okay? Listen to this carefully. As a DEI hire, all right? Right off the bat, it's so important. She says, as the first I'm sorry to do this prefatory introduction, this prolegomenon. Please, I beg your forgiveness, but I must say this to you. As the first Indian or black, you're bringing this up. This is so important. Not the most qualified. As the first left-handed, as the first female with the largest shoe size. What? Let's say you brought up shoe size or with detached lobes. Not talking about her qualifications. You're saying that she was the first DEI hire. Now you just specifically talked about the equity and the inclusion and the diversity part in the prefatory part of your statement. Let me say this again. In the preface of your statement, of your question, you brought up the fact that she is diverse, that she is black and a woman and whatever. And now you're chiding me for bringing it up. Let's hear that.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you
now stop? What is wrong with DEI? That's what the president's alluding to. Please, I'm not trying to be dumb. Is there something wrong with DEI? Yes. Do you want diversity? Yes. She's a diverse hire. She's a diverse hire. Do you want equity? Yes. Equity, not equality, right? Equity is where the finish line is guaranteed, not the process. Equity means, you want a Cambodian in the NBA? You got it. Versus let's open up the tryouts and see if we get a Cambodian. Inclusion, you know what that means? She's included. So why do you find a problem with somebody daring to call it what it is?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition
the word.
then.
So what's wrong with that? Like, let me the question, with all due respect, sir, he should have said, well, what's wrong with calling somebody a DEI? Always force people, listen to me, listen to Uncle Lenny, always force people to explain their objection. Well, what do you mean? Well, what's wrong with that? Well, what do you mean? Why do you find that objectionable? What about that is different than anything anybody else has said? Do you have a problem with diversity? Do you have a problem with it? You want to have a DEI program, and then when somebody hired as DEI, you're gonna say, is this a DEI hire? Oh yeah, okay, there you go. See what I mean?
Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition of
Sir,
that.
I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define the
Listen to this.
Define it for me, if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I
Okay, here we go.
can
Listen.
say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black. And now
She turned black. One of the best, one of the funniest lines. She turned black. I don't think I'm turning Japanese, ladies and gentlemen. Turning black. He said it. He said it, not I. And what's wrong with that, right?
she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went
respect
She is always, remember, she is always identified as a black woman.
Historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should
People are laughing. People are laughing. People are laughing. You understand?
look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I
Republicans
really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there.
Now, listen to this one, okay? Here we go. Let's look at this. And please, I'm sorry for this crude way of doing this. Let's see about this.
To become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Knock wood.
Knock wood. I thought she said not good. She said knock wood. One more time. What was that again?
Certainly, you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Knock wood.
What about the African American?
Certainly, you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Knock wood.
Yeah. See, there's that laugh. Oh, that laugh. That nervous laugh. The I don't know what I'm doing laugh. Indian, huh? Indian.
Point is, when are you and the rest of the media going to demand that Kamala Harris?
Now check this one out. Look, just doesn't this cursor, what's her name? Doesn't she just exude warmth? Doesn't she just say, yes, I want to know you better. Welcome to my show. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm warm. I'm your friend here at CNN. Look how happy I am being in this position. Look how I respect the guest. Look how I enjoy my job. Look how much fun I'm having. Look how in control I look. I look like I'm in the middle of a colonoscopy and the propofol wore off. I look like I'm waiting in the DMV line. I look like I am the most miserable person who has ever walked this planet. And I don't know how many people I beat out for this job. But doesn't seriously, have you ever seen any moment where you think, well, I mean, even Laura Ingraham smiles every now and then. You look at you're having, I mean, you don't want it to be like, my God, this is like Torquemada.
Come out and answer questions in an unscripted format about where she stands for this country, as opposed to continuing to focus on what Donald Trump said today. 4 years ago, Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. Could you imagine a more insulting comment? Joe Biden is presuming to judge the political views of 1/8 of our fellow.
See, they're telling her in her IFB, change this. She's saying, I've lost control of this interview. Arr! All right.
Citizens based on their skin color. Did you ever ask Kamala Harris to condemn his remarks?
There are
Did you ever ask him? Or ask her if that was racist?
This is a question. You're a Republican senator, so I want to ask you about the Republican.
Did you ask Caitlin?
And did you ask the Democratic senator or the Democratic candidate then? No, you didn't, because your primary goal, Caitlin, aside from looking mean, seriously, just I'm not. This is not about look; it's about attitudes.
Did you ask Kamala Harris? Caitlin, did you ask Kamala Harris why she's willing to serve as vice president for a man she essentially called racist and a segregationist?
She did. Remember that? Hey, Joe, I was that little girl on the bus, or on the boat, perhaps, man. I don't even know. I was a little girl on the bus. And do you know? Let's see if this one is this the one I've got here.
Okay, so what we're going to cook today.
Okay, here we go. Look at this one. I love this. I don't know why I like it. I like it. Here's Kamala. What the hell I'm doing, but bless your heart.
Okay, so what we're going to cook today
Okay.
is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Hang on a minute. What happened to my volume? Wait a minute. I can't hear my volume. Wait a minute. Hang on a minute, kids. There we go. Let's see about this.
Because
Yes.
you are
What?
Indian.
Can you hear
Yes.
this?
Okay, and I
No.
don't know that everybody knows that, but I find
can't
that
hear my
wherever I
volume.
go
What happened
and
to
I
my
see
volume?
Indian people, just
Is this just me or can you hear this? Can you hear this? Hello, Phoenix Benjamin. You can hear this one? Did you? Because I can't, for some reason, I can't hear this particular cooking where she's talking about being Indian.
Okay, so what we're going to cook today
You can hear that?
is an
I can't
Indian
hear it.
recipe.
Yes.
Because
Very
you are
strange.
Indian.
We hear
Yes.
it.
Okay.
That is the damnedest thing. What in the hell? Let me try this one. Okay. Well, she's supposedly talking about being Indian and you're Indian and I'm Indian and all this other kind of Indian stuff, which frankly nobody cares about. You're Indian. Terrific. Wonderful. Knock yourself out. Let's try this one.
That
oh,
he
here
will
we go.
weaponize the Department of Justice.
Now, I got to show you these, okay? In no particular order. One thing which is really important, and it's good for people to recognize, to think about, is to ask yourself the question, Wait a minute. Ask it. What is going on here? What is happening here? Let me try something here. Let me try to refresh them. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Don't worry. I may zoom out just for a second. I'm going to refresh. Okay, there we go. Now, I was going to play these, and then I'm stopping. You know what I mean? But I got to talk about the race thing because I love this. I love race. In this country, we went from terrible, terrible, terrible periods where black folks were so not only marginalized, they were just excluded from everything. Absolutely from everything. A good friend, YouTube Sooks, says, resting bee face. Thank you. Edie says, Kamala Harris publicly made disparaging comments about voters in the age 18 to 24 group. That's right. Called them stupid. And of course, Jim Rakar. Thank you so much, Jim, for being a part of this. Now, let's go back to the irony of this. This is why I think it's so funny. Let me get rid of Jim here just for a second. So for the longest time, we treated black people terribly. Okay, fine. So we fought. Good. And we wanted to make things fair. Good. Great. And we wanted, and of course, nothing is ever perfect, but tremendous strides. Goodbye, Jim Crow. Goodbye, public, lynchings. And I think things have improved dramatically. Nothing's ever perfect. Nothing's ever perfect for anyone. Do you feel that you are subject to equity and inclusion regarding you? No. Do you feel that this world treats you fairly? No. Well, why should you think that anybody else is? Or why should anybody else feel that they have been enjoyed? Okay. So after this period of time, then liberalism kind of picked up, which is good in many respects, very, very good. And then there were things such as, the end of the Vietnam War, good. And then the things got better, good. And then folks who were for years, there were people who were considered to be leftists or progressives, they were successful. And then they kind of won. And things were much better. They said, well, we're not done yet. We're going to go a step further. Well, what do you mean? Well, not only do we want to try to make it even, we want to make sure that there are deliberate people put into positions, medical schools, law schools, professional schools, who are black. I'll just make it easy. It's called black. The Baki came out in 70 or 80, whatever the period of time was. And they said, preferences are okay, but they can't be a quota. So they said, wait a minute, stop. You're saying now, this is affirmative action. You're going to deliberately mandate that X amount of people? Yes. Does that seem fair? We don't care whether it's fair. Screw you with the fair. Fair has nothing to do with it. We don't care about fair. What do you mean fair? Who's trying to be fair? No one's fair. What is this fair business you're talking about? We want this result. We want this result. Then it kept going. Then concomitantly, there was a very interesting thing. It was a group who I think second only to gay. Homosexuals were called gay or whatever. It's funny. Gay was first to change. And then words like queer, which were considered pejoratives, stinging pejoratives, now are being utilized and being used and introduced as cool ways of saying it, and it's okay. But it might be the equivalent of the N word, where people who themselves are gay can use it. Remember the great William F. Buckley and Gore Vidal? Watch it, you queer. Remember when he was I'll plaster you and you'll stay plastered. Remember that the great ABC debate, Gore Vidal and Buckley lost it. Shut up, you queer. And Buckley was, people had their questions about Buckley, playing the harpsichord, very, very genteel in any event. So, with the exception of that, black was different. We went from Negro, colored, Afro-American, African-American, person of color, BIPOC, but that's that new one, the black, indigenous, person of color, whatever. So we've always, it was off and running. This iteration, this demographic became more and more powerful and popular than anybody else by virtue of its iterations and variations of its nomenclature. Ryan says, so since Trump's near assassination is down the memory hole, I guess Trump's comments at the NABJ that everyone is up in arms about will soon be forgotten. Things are so transient anymore. Oh, well, by the way, nobody cares about this. Let me just say this to you, Ryan, and thank you, dear friend. No one cares about this. This is a story for today. Nobody gives a damn about this. Nobody cares about this. This means nothing. Nothing. Nobody's going to not vote for him. He's not going to lose or win because of this. It doesn't matter. It's a bunch of people sitting around who have nothing. They have to say, what do we talk about today? What do we talk about today? Hang on one second on that thought. So let me just keep going through this. So it went from really, really bad, from slavery to you name it. Now we have various every 2 weeks when people of color came about. I remember when African American came about. I remember that. All of a sudden, African American. And I'm sorry, but at the time I'd say, what country? Huh? What country in Africa? Egypt? Are you Egyptian? Chad? South Africa? Gary Player as an African American? Are you saying Africa? Are you saying all black people came from Africa? Everybody in the United States came from Africa? Is that it? I mean, we all do. Australopithecus afarensis. Lucy, Australopithecine. Yes, we can direct it towards Africa. What do you mean by African? And remember what I'm telling you, always ask people to explain. Why do you say African American? What country? Africa is a continent. What do you mean? This was then. People say, I don't know. Well, you picked this name. I didn't. What do you mean? I don't understand this. I was talking the other day about somebody who's Sardinian versus Corsican versus all these other names. I don't even know what the hell this means. Palestinian. Who is Palestinian? Zionist. Unbelievable. I was at a party the other night. I met a guy who was remain nameless. He says, I'm a Zionist. I just want you to know flat out. Well, what? And I said, well, how would you define that? Like Trump did. Well, I'm a supporter. No, not just supporter. This is a. Do you believe? Anyway, he said, well, I'm a Zionist. Well, define it. He couldn't do it. He could not define it. He had no idea what he was talking about. So anyway, so let me just continue with this because this is something you have to understand. So all of a sudden, now remember, most American black families or African American, they have nothing to do with this. It's the elites, the people on TV, the people who are fancying themselves as I'm answering the question here. Don't you understand? So they said, okay, affirmative action. No, that's not good enough. We want something else. What do you mean? We want critical race theory, the 1619 Project. What's that? That's where we not only come up with a new name, but we come up with a new word, a new version, a new application of history. We make it up. We come up with something called the critical race theory. What does it mean? It's a lie. It's something we just come up with. We just come up with this stuff. There was a wonderful book called Out of Africa, and they were claiming that Egypt versus Africa. I mean, they were, it's these, and then you don't remember this. I remember the Black Power movement. James Brown was, I'm black and I'm proud. People didn't even say black. Black seemed almost like, can we say black? Yeah, it seems kind of, Now it's nothing, but there was a time, and I remember this. I remember when saying black was just a, wow, that's a tough go. Black. Wow. Is that okay to say black? You sure about that? I'm black. I mean, I'm just saying that black is a little rough. Can we say black? Can you say black? You say black, right? You sure? Yeah. Okay. Because every week, I don't know, I got a new one. Person of color is my favorite. Now there's brown people. It's not Palestinians, it's brown people. They're brown? Yes, they're brown. They're brown? Palestinians are brown? Yes. Really? Okay. And we came up with these names. The red man. Oh, Indian. Okay. The yellow man. Oh, Asian, China. The brown. Brown? Is that Mexican? No, Palestinian. Brown is anybody you want. I can't even. UPS. We just keep making it. We keep changing this by a bunch of people who love. My favorite is the virtue signaling white group. So anyway, so now we eventually came up with, this is ridiculous. We're running out of stuff. Affirmative action, boring, quotas, which is really what it is. DEI is quotas. I'll tell you what that means in a moment. What do you have? DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. Got it. And what Kamala Harris says is, and this is important, if you don't start from the same place, you're not going to have equity. Equality is where everybody says, okay, from now on, everybody just rule the same and let's go. Everybody from now on, we're just going to do blind testing. Whenever you apply to a medical school, law school, whatever, dental school, by the way, veterinary schools are probably hardest to get in than anything because of the fewer numbers of available veterinary schools. So anyway, we're going to do that. Okay, fine. And that's great. Yes, it is great. Okay, terrific. Now, what else are we going to do? Well, I'm not really sure about that, but we're going to say that instead of you having an equal playing field, that would be equality. We want to have equity where we have a guaranteed result. Because nobody starts off at the same place. So imagine if Simone Biles, I don't know if you're following Simone and the Olympics, but let's say there's a regular foot race or whatever it is, Usain, whoever these people are. And you have the winner, gold, silver, bronze. And the guy who comes in 13 says, hey, hold it. Yeah, come here. I got a word with you folks. Yeah, while you were getting all the training and all of the endorsements, and while your country basically was for lack of a better word, basically, in essence, subsidize you, I had to work a regular job. We have strict our competitive rules here regarding what an amateur athlete can take in terms of money is so restricted. I can't compete. So therefore, while you Usain Bolt and you were this, and you could go to these Olympic training things, or you in Romania, hell, you were being subsidized. I couldn't. So therefore, I'll never have an even break. Therefore, I deserve the gold medal because I was the most deprived and I had the most unequal of circumstances. Not that I'm the best, not that I'm the fastest no. I am the most entitled. You must do this because I am the most entitled. I didn't have what you had. Don't you understand what's happening? In the world of academics, a lot of times Black students, poor people, white too, it doesn't really matter, who kind of were kind of helped along a little bit at lower academic, lower undergrads, find themselves for the first time as some pretty competitive, let's say, Ivy League, it used to be Ivy League, but some pretty top-tiered big law schools, for example, and all of a sudden they have to compete with somebody who's been at other schools, the Berkeleys and Harvards and Penns and you've Chicago and Michigans and University of Florida, whatever it is. And they're saying, wait a minute, hold it. You just dumped me into this law school. Yeah, well, but I can't compete because I never had that academic background you had. I never had that. I never enjoyed that. So it's still unfair. So what do you say? I want you to pass me. Just pass me or eliminate grades altogether. Why? Because I'm black. I'm marginalized. I'm the victim of systemic and systematic racism. Okay. And what have I just done? I just destroyed the whole notion of competition. I just destroyed it. Raul Rodriguez says, Mary Lefkowitz wrote, not out of Africa. Yes. Or was it Mary? There's another one too. Could be out of Africa. Yes. That may be the one I'm talking about. YouTube does not like my choice of words, my chose of words. Don't even get me started on this one. Do like everybody else. Spell them backwards. Split the words in half. I don't know what to tell you, but thank you, my friends. Racism is the Dems stock and trade. First try censored. Well, this is sort of it, but let me just go back to this thing also. And this is an important concept, which I find problematic. This is a joke. So Kamala Harris, 1 minute is black, and the next minute she's Indian or not. Rachel Dolezal said, I'm black, and they chided her. Who are you? Well, just because I wasn't born black, whatever that means, doesn't mean I'm not black. And they said, what? Just because I wasn't born a woman doesn't mean I am not a woman. Just because I was born technically with male genitalia, I'm going to tell you, does not mean. So in all of this identitarian transmogrification, this concatenation of lunacy, that's okay, except for this. Because what people are saying is, President Trump, this is our word, we own it. And we determine it's a game with the rules that we make up at any time. And we will call foul whenever we want. We will call foul. We'll call foul. You can't do this. You're a racist. You can't. We're just going to constantly always tell you. And then the worst are these virtue signaling, mamby-pamby, social justice warrior, white, Upper West Side, guilt-ridden. It makes me sick. It's over with. But let me remind you, President Trump showed up. And when she asks you, do you think she's a DEI hire? Well, let me ask you something. Do you believe that being a black Indian woman, this is diverse? This is what you just said, right? You introduced her not as the smartest, the brightest, and most qualified. You said the first black Asian, or no, black Indian, right? So that you obviously think diversity is an important thing. Well, let me ask you, is she a DEI hire? Yes. Yes, you just told me you did. That was the most important thing in the world. Nobody ever in the world has said, it's so incredible. My little son, Timmy, needs all this work and all this medical attention. And I must find the best black doctor there is. I must find the best equity doctor there is. Nobody thinks like this. Nobody cares about this. Nobody thinks like this, except this woman who was sitting there. And it never goes away. Now, President Trump, ignore it. Talk about the border. Change the subject. Project 2025. Don't acknowledge it. For the love of God, please start talking about things that you think are important. President Trump, they are setting the agenda for you. How many of you fine people think the president should have canceled that meeting? Kamala didn't show up. You know this. How did President Trump benefit from being at the Black Journal or whatever? How? It's a setup. Why did he do this? It's a setup. Why? Why? What was the benefit of that? Do you show up everywhere? Any group that invites you? You turn people down all the time. You sure turned down the Heritage Foundation. You sure absented yourself from this Project 2025. Why did President Trump go to this thing? Why? Evan says, had Trump picked a female VP, would they criticize? Probably, because then it's gratuitous, Evan. Maybe it's gratuitous at the top, at the basis of this. I don't care. I want him to have the guts to tell people, I don't care about this question. This is a silly question. I want to talk about the border. Well, I want to talk about your people. They call her a DEI hire. So what? Do you know what people say about me? You know what people say about me? Yeah. We're not going to play this. I'm an adult. I have thick skin. It doesn't matter. What is this? Do you know what they say about this? I mean, is that a serious question? You call yourself a journalist? Out of all of the issue, why is it that this, out of everything I've ever allegedly done or not done, out of all the problems that this country poses today, do you really mean to tell me that this is top on your list? Do you want, are you really telling me this? Are you really telling me? Are you really honest to God telling me that this? Oh, by the way, dear friends, let me just, Thursday is my standing show day. I have a standing meeting every Thursday. So right around 9-ish, sometimes I'll call earlier, sometimes I'll call late. What are you going to do? So in the event I have to book it, I just want to let you know now, I'm not trying to be rude. I want to have a bunch of white dudes. If you see these Zoom calls, so stupid. So in the event I cut out early, please don't think ill of me. We'll meet tonight at 7 o'clock, by the way. Also, make sure you sign up for Lionel Nation. I've got a bunch of videos coming. I hope you've been noticing them. And people who are a member of Lionel Nation, you get all of these early. I dropped about 6 yesterday. Sometimes I feel more prolific. Sometimes I have more I want to say. Because I want you to understand something too. And again, I'm not trying to I might book it earlier, but before you know, you got to understand something. I'm not trying to explain to you the history of this. I'm trying to explain to you the mental illness regarding half of this, the psychology of voting and the like. That's what I want to talk about. Lori Cuck, ladies and gentlemen, says Trump showed how brave and strong he is. He wants them to know he cares. I think so. Did it help him? No. If he hadn't shown, would it matter? No. So why bother? Edie Crowley says, Mr. L, with all the political drama going on, I found the Netflix series Resident Alien for comedic relief. After 2 episodes, it takes off. I will watch that. Thank you. This is, as you know, the stock and trade of not liberal, but the professional black columnist. There's the professional black. We always say, for example, that Bianca Jagger was a professional divorcee. That's what she did. That was her thing. Charlie Kelly says, Lionel Legal. Yes, that is correct. Lionel Legal is the sister one, by the way. Yes. And what kind of journalism was Trump exposed to? I have no idea. But there's this group of folks. And what I would be saying is, you know, if I was a black journalist talking about black causes and black matters, because you're a black journalist, why is a black journalist? Is that DEI? You're not a journalist. You're a black journalist. So you pick and choose when you like it. Black. Remember Miss Black America? Remember that one? I don't know if they even do it anymore. I just so that you know, as far as I'm concerned, you can say whatever you want. But don't set something up, and then when I pick somebody, because they're saying, well, why don't you pick up African American? Because that would be DEI. What's wrong with that? Well, I watched the other day, there was a woman on this black journalist, and she said the DEI is a bad thing. Because she accused me of having people on my staff accuse the vice president of being an equity hire. And that apparently is a bad thing. At least she said it was. Is it a bad hire? I don't think it is, but she seemed to think it was. So they don't know what it is. And there's this organization that nobody really cares about, like a lot of organizations, who are trying to act like we own the whole black thing. We own this labeling. So, Mr. President, you better get it straight with us. And you see Harris Faulkner? Can you imagine what Harris Faulkner goes through? Can you imagine what Harris Faulkner goes through? Oh my God. And if you're too objective, if you're too professional, I'm sorry, then you're called an Uncle Tom or an Oreo. Remember that one? Or you're sounding white. That's my favorite. Why are you using that white voice? What? Why are you using that white voice? You've heard that before. Yes, good evening. Excuse me. Is that the way is that the way you prefer to speak normally, or is this an affectation? Breaking news: white folks and others have been using affectations for years. You know what the Mid-Atlantic accent is? That's the one years ago that says, "Hello, darling. Yes, good evening. Yes, Arlene Francis. Yes. Oh, Jerry. Hello. Yes, darling. It's marvelous. It's a marvelous entertainer. And I'm here with Bula Lenska and all of us here. Here they got at the Waldorf having a wonderful day with it. This is a fake. This is an accepted accent. The other day when Kamala Harris said was doing a Southern accent, she was doing a black accent. It wasn't Southern. She won't talk like that. Hey, I'm sure glad to be here. No, she was saying, hey, girl. You know, that kind of thing. That's called a black urban accent. Would you stop pretending you don't know what you're talking about? That's the black accent. That's the I'm the hip urban black. I can come on your show. I can throw down and say show enough or whatever the hell I'm supposed to do. Because I'm a phony and a sellout. And but I get to determine who the phony is, not you. Lori Cook says Faulkner told Newt not to say Soros' name. Well, whatever. I mean, we had this thing years ago. The other night I went to an event, an Italian American event. It's called the Italian American Museum. It was downtown. This was in Little Italy. I mentioned it was we were having a kind of a memorial for our good friend Pat Cooper. Still have my card, and I loved him. Such a great friend. Loved him. Anyway, we're talking about, we have to stop talking about the mob. Okay. And I got to do a conversation with somebody and say, I'm so tired about people talking about the mob. I said, do you think that The Sopranos was an important show? Yes. Did you watch The Sopranos? All the time. Why? Because it was about the mob. Okay. You mean the Italian mob, right? Yeah. I'm sure there's a Swedish mob. In New York, we have the Russian mob, the Albanians, the Chinese triads, MS-13, cartels. You want to watch a show about MS-13? I don't think so. You want to watch The Sopranos with Italian mob members. Christian Jansen says, can you imagine an art gallery in Hyena Harris's world of equity? No, I cannot, sir. No, I cannot. So, and thank you. But as I was talking, I said, so you don't want to mention, do you think that Italian, specifically Sicilian Americans, played a role in the history of organized crime, the mob, the mafia that we love? Do you want to see a show about the Hell's Kitchen, about the Westies? No, probably not. State of Grace is the best one there is. And this is Westies country here in the Hell's Kitchen. This is Westies, Coon and Featherstone. This is where it all happened. Think anybody wants to watch that? Nope. Anybody interested in having a show about Crips and Bloods? And nope. They want to do a show about the Italian mob, right? Ever since The Godfather. Well, why do you think that is? Because they're Italian. Now, doesn't mean that all Italians were in the mob, but why is an Italian mob different than, let's say, just a non-denominational? So it's this hypocrisy. It's not that people are anti-Italian. It's that they love this particular aspect, this storyline. That's all it means. That's all. And so what these phonies do, I'm the black journalist, They want to set the president up because they say, we control the black narrative. If you do something that we don't like, we're going to call you out on it. And you better kiss our arse and get our seal of approval, or else we're going to call you a racist. And by the way, nobody cares. Black folks are saying, excuse me, I'm busy right now. I don't have time for this. I don't know what the black journalist is. What does this mean? I don't care. And by the way, I got news for you. And this goes to show you, this is to this dingbat Shamala. Everybody knows what a Trump administration was. It was 4 years of nothing really that extreme. Extra Mile said, do you think a Hunter Biden pardon is part of the Joe leaving the race deal? Sort of. But that would be only for the federal case. And that's the gun charge, I think. I think an agreement, kind of a pardon, not a pardon per se, Mr. Mile, but maybe an agreement of immunity, not to, for him, his family, members of the Biden group and the like. They're going to be calling me at any minute, so just want to let you know. So in case I book it out of here, don't think ill of me. Don't think ill of me. But I want you to remember something. Trump's going to kick her arse. You have no idea what's going on. And Joe Rogan, you have no idea. She still hasn't said anything. Watch the numbers. We're getting tired. This feeling like, oh, great, it's Kamala. Say something. Wait until social media kicks in. All right, dear friends, thank you so much. Have a great and a glorious day. I mean that sincerely. You are wonderful. Don't forget, follow Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Means a lot to me and to her. Lynn's Warriors. Also, Lionel Nation. Make sure you're still subscribed. See you at 7. And Lionel Legal. You might even see a live Lionel Legal today. I can't believe how many things I have to say. And it's going to be completely different than anybody else because I'm not trying to repeat the same stuff as usual. I would have loved to have gone on Fox News, but I can't say, who the hell cares about the black journalist commit? What are you talking about? You can't say that, but that's the answer. They're so phony, it's not even funny either. There's something about black people, but it's like nobody cares about women and whatever, or men. Oh, there we go. Scared me. All right, friends, we love you. Have a good day. All the best. Monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue you. Ta-ta.